Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia. I'm your host, Jacob Rush, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Black and Jesse Armstrong. And we are back and we are playing with Power on episode 232. We are getting older, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
I'm well.
Good. I know we all have a lot going on in general, and it's been a crazy couple weeks. And I know Ryan's got a lot of health stuff going on. Jesse's been getting adjusted to a new job, and but I think also which allows you to join us. I think that's a big reason why we haven't had you on in quite a while was your previous job.
Yeah. Yep. Was on the second shift for 2 years, so
Sheesh.
I was almost always working whenever you guys were recording. So
yeah. Well, I'm thankful you're not anymore. It's nice to have you back to normal life again.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, we're not going to do any radical rexing today. This episode is strictly all dedicated to our lovely friend who's passed away, and that's the Nintendo guru Bobby Pauls. This episode is dedicated to him. It's in honor of him, and what we're simply doing is we're just reminiscing over Bobby and what he means to Nintendo nostalgia and to us personally. And I think I'll just kick us off with, Nintendo nostalgia would not exist if Bobby Pauls wasn't a thing. I used to work at a warehouse when the show started back in like 2017. I was working at a warehouse, and 2016, I was around there, 2016, 2017-ish time frame. I was working there, and I needed something to do. I was just tired of listening to music all day long, and I wanted something new. And I started getting into podcasts, and specifically Nintendo podcasts. And I remember the first time I heard Bobby Pauls was when he was on the Nintendo Dads. Nintendo Dads were the first podcast I found. I typed in Nintendo and they popped up, and then he was a guest there. And then from there, I followed him from his own contacts, and If We Ran Nintendo is what he was running with Sean Capri. And I just was obsessed with what he had to say. And if you've ever heard his Punch Out story, it's one of the stories that inspired me to be like, this is what I want. I want a podcast. I want to talk about stuff like this. I want a show. And Bobby Paul's Punch Out story truly blew me away. And it's the story that truly inspired Nintendo nostalgia to become a thing. And Bobby Paul's that story that he told was in such great detail of a childhood memory that was just so crazy, and it made you wish you could have been there. And it just gave you the feels for your own childhood memories. And it truly was the planting seed that made me really want to start my own podcast. So here I am, this guy who has no idea what to podcast, how to record, how to edit, or nothing. And I just privately reached out to him on like Twitter, and I was like, hey, would you be willing to meet up with me? I really would. I don't even know if I asked him to meet up. I asked him just for tips, if he could help point me in the right direction. And he just scheduled a Skype call and met up with me. And then he had Sean Capri on as a surprise, because him and Sean were doing everything together at that time. And I was completely shocked that Sean and him were there, and they helped me basically write out the formula in that first Skype meeting. We wrote it out. They talked me through it, what I need to do, the pros and cons, what things you want to avoid. They helped me see what direction I really wanted to take the show. And they really helped me decide to make Nintendo Nostalgia a show that's not really all about the news, because mostly all shows are about the news. Do we talk about stuff we're excited about? Yeah, we do. But the emphasis of our show is not on the news. It's on a hook, and that hook is our nostalgia, our that we have for certain characters, for certain games and music, and within those games, and for just Nintendo in general. But Bobby, we launched. He told Ryan and I to do our episode 0. This is where we recorded our first episode ever, and it was one that was not ever going to see the light of day. And that's what Bobby Pauls told us to do, and we sent it to him. And Bobby Pauls, he listened to it, he reviewed it, and he gave us feedback of what we need to critique and what we need to do before we launched our very first episode, and go for it. And Bobby and I, we talked on and off. I didn't talk to him all the time, especially over the last year and a half. My life got a little crazy, but Bobby, I consider a good friend. And I give him 100% of the credit that the show would not exist if he never took the time to reach out to some little guy who didn't know anything about podcasting. And it's funny, like the way I edit the show to this day it's the Bobby Pauls formula. He taught me this. The way we splice up these shows and edit it and put in music, he taught me it. The critiques he said to try to avoid when you edit, he taught me that. I still use my clip grab to get audio for if I don't have an audio track. He told me where to go to get that, and to use that tool. And that tool has been the most used tool I've used over the last years for this show in particular. So that's just kind of my initial memories of Bobby, and I'm thankful to have gotten to know him. I wish I knew more. I wish I could have. I'm sad that my life was so chaotic personally over the last year and a half, because I missed out on engaging with him on a regular basis. We used to have fun debates or argue on Twitter about things, all in fun and love, like we like to do, and poke fun. And I miss that, and I'm sad and sorry that my life was such a wreck. I couldn't get out of my own way to be engaged with the community more and spend more time with him through his last year. But Ryan, I'm going to toss the torch to you here and take away a little bit.
Okay. Jacob came to me about doing a podcast, and I was like, oh, I have no idea what a podcast was. Like, I'd never listened to him or anything like that. Like, no clue whatsoever. And he told me to go like listen to the Nintendo Dads, and I was like, I'll listen to him, and I never got around to listening to him. But so I didn't prepare me mentally for what a podcast was. Going into this meeting with Bobby and Sean and meeting them, and I was so nervous. I remember the first time, like, I don't even know who these people are, but apparently Jacob thinks they're like the biggest deal, and I don't even know what to expect. But I'm invested in this podcast thing. Draco's got my support. Like, we're gonna do this, so let's figure this out. And just the passion and the dedication that came from that call and meeting Bobby for the first time was just, he's such a powerful person, and he's such an empowering person. He makes you feel like you can take on the world, take on Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He's one really cool dude, and it's really cool to hear so many like passionate accounts of just interactions his fans have had and his family and his friends. Like, he's really a really cool guy. And I definitely miss him. I didn't realize how much of an impact he had on my life. You know, I never did listen to Nintendo Dads for the longest time, but I was like, if we're on Nintendo, I'll listen to that. Okay, Jacob, I'll listen to that. And so I turned on If We're on Nintendo one day, and I was hooked. That was kind of my first real podcast outside of like doing my own thing, with Nintendo nostalgia. So, and I absolutely loved hearing all the opinions and the fights that the two of them would get into, Sean and Bobby, over the dumbest stuff, but just lots and lots of memories there. And just, from What Is Up to Peace Out Preston, like start to end, like every bit, like I hung on his every word. And it's crazy, like how much it hit me when I heard that he passed. And I was like cheering him on like the whole time. Like all this time he was in the hospital, like, just all the prayers and all the love. Like I donated what I could. And I don't know, things were starting to look up there at the end, and I was so excited for him, and knew that he had a long road ahead of him, and it was really hard to hear that it took him, and it hit me like I think stronger than any other death that I've experienced before. Um, I think the only other time that it hit me really hard was when my grandpa had a stroke, and not when he passed, but when he had a stroke and kind of lost his life. He became a different person, was almost a bitter person in a lot of ways. And I kind of felt that again, like with Bobby's passing. It was kind of crazy to come to terms with that, like someone that I just met on the internet, but then I started to realize, like, I listen to this guy like every week and hear his opinions, and several times a week actually, with all his different podcasts. He had a revolving door of podcasts,
Yeah,
and he pulled in people from all over the world. Toby Thornton. He got
Mhm.
people in Canada with Sean, and he'd pop on the Nintendo Dads here and there, and he had a lot of ties with Nintendo Shack, and he had such far-reaching um, hands in everything, and was such an overachiever with everything that he did, YouTube and streaming and his podcast, and just an exceptional guy who was dedicated to his podcasting and video games, especially Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah, this has definitely been hard. The very first episode of Nintendo Nostalgia that I listened to was the Kid Icarus episode with Bobby.
Mm.
And that was such a good episode. And then I went back and listened to all the rest of your episodes, and it was kind of I don't know, foreshadowing or whatever, because I think Bobby talked about your first episodes or first episode or getting started and how much you guys improved.
Yeah.
And I could see that. But I was just drawn to Bobby's passion and enthusiasm for games and Nintendo, and I fell in love with If We Ran Nintendo. That by far my favorite podcast or show.
Oh, for sure.
I'm thankful that we can still go back and listen to those or watch those episodes.
Yeah.
It sounds like Sean is gonna even kind of do more to memorialize that stuff and kind of group it up into one thing. So definitely thankful for that. But
Yeah, it's surreal to not have Bobby here with us now,
Yeah.
for everything he's done for not just us, but for the community. It's really weird to know that he's not. I don't know. I feel in a way. I mean, I feel sad with, like, if we get like the latest Nintendo Direct. I don't even know if he probably didn't even see it. You know what I mean? He was recovering, and it's just, every time there's a new nugget of news or something that happens, I've been finding myself thinking, I wonder what Bobby would think of this right now, what his reaction would be, and I'm sad that we're not going to have that. I really am. His show, especially If We Ran Nintendo, was just really probably the most unique show I've ever heard. It's better than NBC. It's better than just a lot of the stuff you get out there. It's better than our show. It was fun, and it really made you think. And I remember being in the warehouse and just thinking, like, agreeing with stuff and just arguing too, speaking out loud in this warehouse, because no one can hear you. There's all these machinery. I'm just like, are you crazy? What are you talking about? Stuff like that. And it just really got me going. And I just had to chime in my opinions, my thoughts. It's, again, also got me to wanting to have our own show. But Bobby made something unique, and he made it really fun, and he made you think, and Bobby, the biggest thing I love about Bobby is his character. Bobby did so many things, and he he was like us. He was trying to grow his YouTube page. I remember him breaking numbers and records, and how excited he'd get, the giveaways he'd do. Bobby was always a fighter, and he was always bouncing back, just like in Punch Out, and it's I'm blessed to have known him, and I hope that we can live out his spirit within our show. I hope that a piece of him remains in our show and continuing to move forward. And it only motivates me more to want to do better with our show. I mean, to make Bobby proud, something that he could be like, man, I'm so proud of those guys, and to know that like he helped us get started and get going. And yeah, it's gonna be really weird not having Bobby around. And I think I speak for all of us in that regards,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Not just his like passion for everybody and the projects that he went into, but he earned the title Bobby Big Bucks.
Yeah,
because he would drop crazy amounts of money behind the
Oh, my
latest thing.
goodness.
Like, how many switches did he end up with there?
dude, I don't know. I remember hearing I'm like, are you crazy? Like, why are you buying this? Like, where do you get the money? Why do you need this, Bobby? A new Switch model gets announced and he's gonna buy it, And I'm like, my gosh, dude, or a 3DS, whatever. Yeah, and he had a lot of first four figures too. I mean, so
Yeah.
Bobby got some big bucks.
I remember him getting so upset about ordering those Hello Kitty Animal Crossing cards, and from Japan, never got them.
Oh my gosh, that's funny, dude.
I just so much things that he was just gung ho about, like his love for Splatoon and
Yeah.
Animal Crossing, like is unrivaled. Like he made me feel okay with announcing and talking about my love for Animal Crossing, because like I was like, oh, that's not really like something that like a manly man should talk about is Animal Crossing, but like no, it's actually like something like Bobby showed the passion right there that he absolutely loved it, and like I don't feel so bad about it now, admitting that. It gave me confidence.
I'm really happy that his dream is still open, right?
Yeah.
So is that? I mean,
Yeah.
you can correct me on my Animal Crossing knowledge, because I will admittedly say I don't know much of it. Is that something that will just forever be there now? Because he left it that on.
Yeah, as long as the servers are active, yeah, you can go visit his town anytime.
Wow.
And it's weird because I went, like, I think it was the second night after I heard about him passing. They posted that Dream Suite code, and I went onto his island and kind of walked around. I thought it was pretty cool, and then I remember falling asleep that night, left the island open. And then I woke up the next morning and popped on and realized, oh, I'm still in the town. Well, I guess I'll explore some more. And what I didn't know was that the actual characters would walk around, their avatars would walk around on the island. And I saw Bobby there. I'm like, what? That's so weird. I didn't know that like they actually walked around. And I talked to him and said his last words on Animal Crossing was "Peace out, Preston."
Wow.
And like I lost it. I was bawling. I texted Matt Knight immediately. I'm like, hey dude, you got to know this. Like,
yeah,
this is the last thing he said on Animal Crossing, and it's just like, it hits you in the feels,
Wow.
I haven't been able to bring myself to visit yet, so it's gone in waves.
Yeah.
I was really nervous last night, because we're recording a day late.
Mm-hmm.
I was just so nervous that I was going to break down while we were talking last night. And then Jacob, you text me and said, Ryan was not feeling up to it. So I was really thankful and relieved. And I've been busy today, so I haven't had as much time to think about it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
It's with Bobby's passing, how I've personally processed it is it's one of those just surreal feelings, like I can't believe that really happened. It's different. You see stuff all the time online. So and so passed, and well, there was like a famous streamer that passed like a few years ago. I don't know his name, but it affected a lot. Yeah, Edka. Yeah, you know, a lot of people were affected and hurt by it, and to me, you know, it was sad. But I didn't know him. I didn't know him at all. So, you know, I wasn't emotionally attached to that. Whereas Bobby, I mean, Bobby's our team. He is
Yeah.
from our team, our circle. And when it happens to you in your circle, it just hurts a lot more. It's so real, and it it makes you really put things in perspective. And anybody who's listening, you know, on a social media world, we all have different beliefs and we all have different things we agree upon. And I've seen it over the maybe this is a appropriate time to talk about this, that people are not going to agree with each other on a lot of things. And I've seen people spew hate back at each other, people who you think are your friends or that you've had friendships with. And the one thing that I loved about Bobby is that Bobby didn't care what you believed. He didn't care who you were or what you did. Bobby was accepting and loving of everybody, no matter what they believed, no matter what they did. And he didn't think less of them. And he still was our friend to every single one of those types of people. And I just encourage anyone listening to this, if you have a beef with somebody, if you have issues with someone, just it's all petty. At the end of the day, life is so short. What's the point? If someone has a different belief than you, why hate them? You don't We are never guaranteed the next day on this earth. And when someone like this that you love and you know passes away, it makes everything else just seem small and ridiculous. You know, so if anything from this, I hope people just realize that, and that they can maybe reach out to some people who were your friends that maybe you haven't talked to in a while, or family, and just try to make things right, because when someone's gone, they're gone. And if anything, these moments are awakening to us, and it's a chance for us to learn and for us to mend relationships and get on the right page with people. That's what I encourage people to do from hearing, if you're listening to this episode, and people who knew Bobby. Think about your loved ones. Think about those people who were close to you, and you're not so much anymore. You got anyone else have any other thing to say?
Knowing Bobby, the struggle that he went through for that long in ICU, and seeing that road that he had ahead of him, you know, he couldn't even talk, you know, even at that point where he was in his recovery, and it's crazy to think all the things that he's, you know, he never got to see because he was out, and I thought of him regularly, and it was amazing what he was able to do. He could take the biggest troll and turn him into a fan.
Right.
Him, you know,
Absolutely.
there's some people that are like, I heard one account of someone who was on his stream every day, like every time Bobby streamed, like that dude was on his stream, and every time Bobby would ban him, but he'd come right back again. You know, and that's just who Bobby was. Like he would heckle the hecklers, and you know, and pull them on his team, and like just unite people. It was so cool.
Exactly.
Even when he gets like Sean Capri absolutely mad at him and has him
Oh,
cursing
yeah.
on the air at him, like those dudes still made up and were best friends. You know, they fought like a married couple.
Oh, yeah. What was that? Was it like an E3 episode or something that they really went at it? And I think everyone was like reaching out. There were some shaky waters there. Like
I think Sean was being down on the Switch and how like nothing was good on the Switch and it didn't really interest him. And Bobby's like, "You're crazy."
Yeah. I remember it.
I think he like said Lego Dimensions was better than Switch. I might be misremembering something, but I think they discussed Lego Dimensions in that episode.
I remember it was like, you know, are they getting a little serious here, you know? But the waters calmed, and they are still dear friends. Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what Ryan was saying, that you know how difficult this loss has been, and you relating it to, what you said, your grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
completely relate to that. I've been fortunate not to have a whole lot of loss, and that's really what I can relate it to is my grandma that I lost my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
And just to think that us that only knew Bobby over the internet, that his character and his personality and just who he was, that we feel that close to him. I can't imagine the pain that his really close friends and family are feeling. They've been in my thoughts and prayers over this time, and there's so many things that I feel like we're missing out on now. Splatoon 3 was just announced, and the first person I thought of when I saw that was Bobby.
Yeah.
It's like I wanted to hear him yell and throw his arms up and stand up and say yes, and spin his chair around or do a little Bobby dance or something like that. I just want to see that joy and enthusiasm. I miss it.
Yeah,
we all do. And I can promise our listeners that on Nintendo Nostalgia, we're going to do our best to live out the spirit of Bobby within us. I mean, he is a part of our show, period. Point blank. We wouldn't be here without him. And, we're never going to be Bobby Pauls, the Nintendo guru, but we can sure as heck try to be the best we can for him.
You guys mentioned some of Bobby's giveaways. I was lucky enough to see if I can show that to you guys.
Yeah.
Here. My SNES 8-bit though controller that
man,
I got from one of Bobby's giveaways.
What? I didn't know you won that. Wow.
Yeah, I was super excited, and Bobby was awesome in it. I know whenever he sent that to me that there was a note that went with it, and I haven't been able to find that note. And I'm lucky enough to have another note here from Bobby. Whenever I signed up to be an executive producer of their Patreon.
Yeah.
And just those little things.
That night, when I heard about him passing, I hopped on YouTube and watched some of his videos, and I watched his last Animal Crossing one, and I heard him cough, and I just couldn't listen anymore to that one, and I had to switch off of that one because it became very real to me at that point. And it was very much an indicator right there. But going back and seeing the stuff, the creativity that he had with the Nook or No Nook, doing the Deal or No Deal thing in Animal Crossing, where he get bells and stuff, like it was really cool to see, and to watch him grow as a content creator with live streams and stuff like that. It's really cool, and I'm so glad that we had that legacy to look back on in all of his content. And I hope that it never fades into obscurity, and that people remember him for how great he is.
For sure.
Absolutely. Did you see his last episode of A Cup of Joe?
No, I didn't.
What it was about?
No, I didn't.
Splatoon 3.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Like predicting it or what he wanted from it?
I think it was basically do we need Splatoon 3?
Mm-hmm.
I think is kind of what he was talking about. There's Bobby's gone. We don't get to hear new things from him, but he gave us so much, so many memories, and there's so much we can look back on.
Dude, we live in a time now where, people today are really lucky. My second oldest brother died in 2001 from an accident, and we have no recordings of him. I don't have any video footage. I just have some pictures. Bobby's got a podcast after podcast, YouTube video after YouTube video, social media posts that he's done in the past. I mean, honestly, people today are really lucky. They're really lucky and really blessed to the fact that we can go back and we can look at Bobby and we can listen and we can laugh and relive old experiences with him again and again. That's
Bobby,
really cool.
Bobby nostalgia.
Bobby nostalgia. I love it.
Yes.
Thanks for the title for this episode. Well, Bobby Paws, everyone here at Nintendo Nostalgia is indebted to you. We love you and we miss you. And we hope we make you proud with what we do. And we hope you rest in peace, man. And one day we hope to see you on the other side.
Definitely.
Yep. Peace out, Bobby.
Peace out.
Peace out, Bobby.
Bobby.